Hi there, my name is Awais and I welcome you to class version control system using Git. In this class, we will learn Git from scratch. Mainly we'll target developers. So if you are a beginner developer and looking to learn version control system, this is the right course for you. These are the few topics we will be covering in this course. We talk about what are the repositories, how we commit code, Git object, stages, branches, merges, conflict, Git configuration, working locally and working remotely with GitHub as well. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to understand some common terminologies in Git. Before we write some Git commands on terminal, we need to understand these terminologies. And the best way to understand this concept is by watching some nice animated presentation. Once we understand this concept, then all the commands we use in lab will make sense to you. So these are some of the common concepts we're going to understand in this video. So we have repository, branch, commit, merge, head, stash. And if you have a remote repository setup, then we need to understand pull, push, fetch, remote, origin. Now, first concept we understand is repository. A repository is a unit of storage and change tracking that represents a directory whose content are tracked by Git. Well, that was a formal definition. Let's visualize it. So let's say in your computer, whether it's Windows, Mac or Linux, you can create a folder and you can copy some files into that folder. And you want to track those files or their changes. To do that, you need to initialize this folder as a Git repository. To do that, you need to open terminal if you are on Linux or on a Mac, or use command prompt if you are on the Windows. Navigate to the folder and type git init. Now git init command will initialize this folder as a Git repository. Now from that point, any changes you make are tracked by Git. Next concept we can understand is branch. It's a version of a repository that represents the current state of set of files that constitute a repository. Now, what is a use case for a branch? Well, let's say you're working on a big software project where you have many features and many people are working on the project. To track that feature development and also to be able to write code for that specific feature without disturbing other parts of the code, we can use a separate branch, and once our feature is done, we can merge the code back to our main branch. Now you might be wondering what is merging. Let's take a look at what is merging in Git. In a Git, a merge is a process of incorporating changes from one branch to another. The use case would be combining the code of a feature B and feature C to main branch when it's done. Next concept is commit. Commit is an entry into Git history that represents a change made to a set of files at the given point in time. A commit references the file that have been added to the index and updates the head to point to a new state of the branch. So let's say you've done some work at this stage of your code and you want to track these changes throughout your development process. Now the best way to do is committing, so you can go back to that commit and visualize what was the change that you made from that commit to the next commit. Committing is the most common process that we do when using Git, and if you're a software developer, then you're going to be committing a lot. Let's take a look at some more terminologies in Git. So we have a head. Well, head is a reference to the most recent commit on a branch. The most recent commit is commonly referred to at the tip of the branch. We have index. Well, this is the area where Git holds files that have been changed, added, or removed in readiness for a commit. It's a staging area from where you commit changes. We have a remote. A remote in a Git is a common repository that all team members use to exchange their changes, Hosting services like GitHub and Bitbucket are used as a remote repository. We have a push. Well, git push is a command used to send your commit to the remote repository. Pull in Git, which is used to get the changes from a remote repository. Let's talk about how people collaborate using Git. So let's say you have 3 people working on a project. They have their own laptops and their own local repository for that project. Now, let's just say that they will set up that code to the remote repository, which is hosted on GitHub. Now, let's say a person A finishes some coding and sends that code using git push command to GitHub. The next person might want to pull that changes, so he will have to use git pull command, and that code will be available onto that computer. He does some changes and he can send back to the GitHub. And the third person can have that code by just using git pull command. Now, this is how people collaborate using the remote repository. Services like GitHub or Bitbucket are used to host remote repositories. In this course, we'll have a proper section of GitHub, how we set up GitHub repositories, from setting up an account and pull and push. We'll take a look at all of these things in this course. So these are some core terminologies of Git. At this stage, we are ready to dive deep into Git. Later in the course, we'll learn more advanced terminologies. So let's get started with labs and start writing some terminal commands. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install Git on Mac. To download Git, you need to go to git-scm.com. Depending on your operating system, it will give you an option to download the package. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to click on download Git 2.22.0. It's saying your download is starting. Wait for a couple of seconds and it doesn't start downloading the package. You can click on this, click here to download manually. I'm going to click on that and it's going to count for 5 seconds and start downloading the packager for me. There you go. We got Git downloaded. I'm going to double click on it. Double click on .pkg file. Once you double click on .pkg file, it's going to open up this window, which is telling us that it cannot open this pkg file because it is from unidentified developer. Now to fix this, we're going to go to System Preference. We go to Security and Privacy. Here you'll see an option saying Open Anyway. You simply click on Open Anyway, click on Open, and it's going to show you this packager. Let's click on Continue, click on Install, and here you're going to type your Mac password and click on Install Software. Now it's installing Git for us. It's saying Git is installed. Click on Close. I'm going to click on Move to Bin because I don't need that package file anymore. Go to your terminal on a Mac and simply type Git. Press Enter and you will see all of these commands. Now Git is successfully installed. You might want to check the version of a Git installed on a Mac. Let's clear the terminal. I'm going to type git space -- version. And it's telling me Git version 2.22.0 is installed on a Mac. And this is what we installed when we downloaded the package from git-scm.com. Congratulations, you have successfully installed Git on your Mac. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can install Git on Linux operating system. I'm going to be using Ubuntu 18.04 to demo this process. If you're using any other distribution of Linux, the process will be similar. Installing Git on Linux is pretty easy. So all you got to do is open terminal and type this command. I'll type sudo apt install git. Now, before I press enter, I want to mention one thing. Now, the process that you've seen just now was really quick. For you, it might take a bit of time because this command will have to install these dependencies. It might be a bit slower on your computer, so hang in there. Now once you see do you want to continue, press Y and press return or enter on a Windows, and it's going to start downloading Git repository and start processing the installation. Let's clear the terminal, press enter after typing clear and type git -- version. And now you can see the default version was 2.17.1, which is all good. So we are ready to use Git on Ubuntu. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can install Git on Windows operating system. Simply go to git-scm.com, click on download 2.2.0 for Windows. Once this is downloaded, simply double click on it. It's going to show you the installer. Click on yes, click on next, and then click on next. Now here, Git from command line and also for third-party software, select that so you have some GUI and other softwares installed, which will be helpful as well. So let's click on next again. It says use the OpenSSL library, which is good. Click on next, and then use minitt, the default terminal. That's fine. Use this one. Click on next, and then again next. I know there's a lot of next in Windows installation, but it's what it is, you know. Let's click on install. Then after that, it's going to start installing Git. Okay, so Git has been installed. I'm going to click on finish, right click and click on Git bash here. Now this is like a terminal that we open on a Mac or on a Linux. Windows install Git bash, and here I can type git -- version, and it tells me Git version 2.2.0.windows.1 is installed. Now Windows command prompt will work as well, or PowerShell. So if I open PowerShell, I'll type git -- version. You can see we have the Git working in PowerShell. Also, we can open command prompt and we type git -- version. Here we have a Git version 2.2 as well, but I would prefer using Git bash. Apart from this Git bash, if you right click, you see Git GUI here as well. So there's a GUI utility which we'll take a look at later in the course. Basically it's like a GUI part of Git. So your Git is installed on Windows operating system and you're ready to use it on your Windows operating system. Welcome back. So you might have a question that which OS we're going to be using throughout this course. Well, it doesn't really matter at all because all the Git commands we're going to be using belongs to Git itself, regardless of any operating system we use. We're going to be using Mac terminal, but if you're on a Windows, use Git bash, and if you're on a Linux, then you can just use plain Linux terminal. So let's get started with Git labs from the next video. Welcome back. Let's get ourselves introduced to Mac terminal. I'm going to show you some common commands that we'll be using throughout this course. So the first command we're going to be looking at is ls. ls command will show you the content of the current directory that you're in. So I'm going to go to desktop. Let's clear the terminal by typing clear, press return, and you will see clean terminal. Now to go to the desktop, you will have to type a command called cd space and the name of the folder. I'll type de and press tab to get that auto completion work. I'll press return, and you can see here I'm at the desktop right now. I'll type ls, press enter, and here it shows me there's only one file available called recycle.bin. Now we're going to be creating some directories. So how do we create a directory using terminal command? Well, we do that by typing mkdir space and then the name of the directory. I'll type git repo, press return, and you will see a new folder getting generated on desktop called git repo. I'm going to open that, and let's put it on the side, and let's put this terminal on the side here as well. So how do we create a file? Well, first of all, let's get inside to the Git repo. So I'll type cd space git, press tab, and it will auto-complete the folder name. Press return, and now I'm at Git repo. Let's clear the terminal, and to create a file, we'll use a command called touch space and the name of the file. I'll type file.txt, press return, and you will notice we have a new file created in Git repo folder, which is in our desktop. Now I'm gonna see if there is any text or anything inside this file. To see the content of the file, we use a command called cat space and the name of the file. Press return, and you see it didn't return anything because this file is currently empty. If I double click on it and open that in a text editor, you can see there is nothing in it. So let's close this. We might want to write some content to this file. We do that by using echo command space, opening double quotes, and then the content you want to write to this file. I will just simply write hello world. Close with double quotes, use greater than signs, and then the file name. Press return, and you will have hello world inserted into this file. Now if I double click on this file, you will see hello world is written in this file. We can see this content by using the cat command as well. So I'll type cat space file.txt file, press return, and you will see hello world is available in file.txt file. Now we have seen how to create directories, how to create files, how to insert text to that file, also how to move into directories. Similarly, you might have questioned that are these commands are similar on Windows. Let's go to Windows operating system and see if these commands work there as well. So I'm at the desktop. I'm gonna right click and click on Git Bash here. It's gonna open up Git Bash for me, and I'm just gonna expand this. Now we are at desktop, as you can see here. I'll type ls, and it shows desktop.ini file and icons folder. So let's go and create a new folder by using the same mkdir command. And I'm going to name this Git repo. You'll notice a new folder is generated. Let's get inside to that folder, cd git repo. Now we are inside Git repo folder. I'm just going to move this a bit on the right, and let's open this folder as well. So let's just put it here, and let's just move a bit to left. Okay, so let's create a new file by using the touch command. I'll type file.txt for the file name. So what inside that file? I'll type cat file.txt, and it returns empty. And if I open up this file in Notepad, as you can see, there is nothing inside. So let's write some content to this file using echo command. So type echo double quotes. I'll say hello world and use the file. Let's press enter. Let's open up the file, and here you go. We have a hello world inside that file. I can use the cat command to read the content of the file, and you see, there you go, we have hello world. And inside this folder, I'm gonna create the first repository of our course. So to create a repository, we'll have a command called git init. So I'll type git init, press return, and it says initialized empty git repository. And now if I type ls, I can still see the file, but what's changed? Is there anything changed here? Well, there's something changed here. If I type ls space -a, which means it's going to show me all the files. Now, as you can see, we have this .git folder, which means there's a Git repository inside this folder. I'm going to clear the terminal, and I'll type git status. And once I type git status, it tells me what branch that I'm in, no commits yet, untracked file, which is like one file in the folder, but it's not added to the Git yet. So it says nothing added to the commit, but untracked file present. Okay, so we have a Git repository initialized, and we have an untracked file. Now I'm going to clear the terminal, and I'm going to actually remove that .git folder. So I'll type rm space -git, press enter, and it says, hey, rm is a directory. So how do I delete this? I'll type rm -r git and press enter. Now if I type ls space -a, now we don't have that .git folder. Now if I type git status, it's going to give me the same error called fatal, not a git repository or any of the parent. So if you remove this .git folder, which means you are removing the Git repository, everything which is tracked by Git are stored in this .git folder. So make sure you never remove this. And by default, it is hidden, because if I generate a new repository by typing git init, now if I take a look at File Explorer on a Mac, I don't see that .git. Well, it's hidden. We have learned how we can initialize repository, and we have a bit of introduction to terminal on Windows and also on Mac terminal. In terms of Linux, it will have the same command, because Linux and Mac are Unix based and their terminal have the same commands. So no difference. And if you use git bash on Windows, we'll have the same commands. So regardless of any operating system, you can continue using Mac or Windows or Linux, doesn't really matter. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about Git configuration, and we are going to set up a new repository, create a file, add a file to our Git repository, and we're going to see how we can commit our first file to the Git repository. Before we go and do all that, I'm going to show you this item too. Basically, it's a terminal for macOS. It gives you some extra options. I'm going to be using this through this course. So if you don't want to use this, that's all good. You can use a simple terminal if you're on a Mac, or Git bash on a Windows, or terminal on a Linux. Doesn't really make any difference. But if you use item 2, it's going to give you some advanced themes, and it's going to give you some more options. So yeah, it's up to you. Now let's close this browser. First of all, we are going to go to desktop. So I'll type cd desktop, clear the terminal. I'm going to create a directory. I'll name it git repo. Let's get inside this directory. And then I'm going to create a new repository. I'll type git init. It's going to initialize empty git repository. I'm going to open that in a GUI as well, so we can see what's happening here. So let's put it on the side. Let's put this on the left. So right now we don't have any files, so I'm going to create a new file and add some content to it. So I'll type touch file.txt file. We have the file, and I'm going to type echo. Let's type hello world to this file. Now we have a content. I can verify that by using cat command, and I type file.txt. There we go, we have a hello world. Now if I type git, it gives me some common commands used in various situations. For example, it says start working area, a clone command, which basically helps you to clone repository into a directory. Init, which we just used, it's telling me create an empty git repository or reinitialize an existing one. So you can see git is a really good command. If you type git, it's going to help you a lot, and it's going to give you a description of the commands as well. There are other commands like add, mv, reset, rm. So we can have help from just writing git command. So let's clear the terminal. Now before we do anything, we need to give some information to Git. So setting up a new repository is okay, we did that, but Git needs to know who you are. This is because in Git, every modification you make in a repository has to be signed with the name and email of the author. So before doing anything like committing or adding file to the Git repository, we need to tell Git this information. So the way we tell Git this information is by using git config command. So if I type git, we'll have a config command here. It doesn't really show here, that's fine. This is why you're taking this course, because git command doesn't really show all the commands. So I'll type git config and enter, and now it gives us help regarding git config command. So we have a config file location. We want to touch this global file. So let's clear this out. I'm going to type git config -- global. And now we want to tell my name. So I'll type user.name, and then I'll type my name in double quotation aways. Press enter. The next thing we want to tell Git is git config global, and that would be user.email space. And I'll type my email would be, let's just say, my email. Press enter. Now I have set up my name and an email, and anything I do with this Git repository now, my name and email will be used. So now I'm going to type another Git command, git status. Now when I type a Git command, git status, it's telling me what branch I am on right now. So it says on branch master. It's telling me no commits yet if there is the untracked file. So the color of the file.txt file is kind of red. Basically, it means that this file hasn't been added into a Git repository. We have to tell Git to put this file in your repository explicitly. Git doesn't do anything that you don't want it to do. If you have some spare or temporary file in your repository, Git will not take care of them, but will only remind you that there are some files in your repository that are not under version control. So we're gonna tell Git, go ahead and add this file into Git repository. To do that, we use git add command, which tells Git that we want it to take care of that file and check it for further modification. Let's go and do that. So I'll type git add file.txt, press enter. Now I'll type git status. Now you can see we synced master branch, no commits yet, but now the file has been added to the Git repository and it's going to be tracked. I'm going to make a change to that file. So I'll type echo. I'll say, okay, I've added this, made a change to the git file.txt file. Now we'll type git status. It's telling me, hey, the file has been modified as well. So it's giving me some options. I can use git add file name to update what will be committed, or I can do git checkout -- file to discard changes in a working directory. So if I go and say git add file.txt, I'll type git status again. All the changes I made to that file are added to that Git repository. At this point, Git knows about file.txt file, but we have to perform another step to fix the snapshot of its content. We have to commit it using the appropriate git commit command. So I'm going to clear the terminal and I'm going to type git commit -- message and start a double quotation, and I'll say first commit. Press enter. It's saying master root commit. The message is first commit. It says one file change, one insertion, create mode 10064 file.txt file. So let me explain these to you. With the commit of file.txt file, we have finally fired up repository. Having done the first commit, also known the root commit, as you can see in a screenshot, the repository now has a master branch with a commit inside it. We'll play with branches in the forthcoming chapter. Right now, think of it as a path of our repository, and keep in mind that repository can have multiple paths that often cross each other. Now we have added that file. I'll type git status. It says nothing to commit because that was committed before. Let's visualize the process which we just performed on terminal. So we have a working directory, we have a file, we have a staging area in Git, and a repository. So when you make any change to your file, that file sits at unstacked area. Now, while it's sitting on unstacked area, if you try to commit the code or commit that file, it will not go into the repository. It will go back into unstacked area. So to make sure that we put that into a repository, we need to add that file. So once we add that file using git add and then the file name command, that file is moved from unstacked area to staging area, and all its modification comes with the file. And once it's in the staging area, then you can commit the code or commit the file using git commit and -m and then the message that will make that file available in the repository. And that's when that snapshot of that file gets stored in Git repository. Now we try to make some more modification to that file. I'll type echo. Now I'll type git status. Again, it's telling me the file has been modified. I'll type git commit to commit the next changes. So I'll type git commit -m. This is time I'm going to be using the sub command, and I'll type second commit, press enter, and now the file has been committed. It says not changes stacked for the file. Ooh, nothing was done because we didn't add that change to the Git repository. So I'll type git add file.txt file. Now if I do git commit -m, I'll type the message get second commit, press enter. Now it's saying second commit, one file changed, one insertion. To make changes to the file, either you open this file if it's a text file, or you can open this file into VS Code, which is like a code editor or IDE. So it's up to you. So another thing that we can do, we use nano or vim on terminal. So I'll type nano file.txt, and this will open this file into GNU Nano. It's basically a command line text editor. So I'm going to make any changes. So saying, hey, I'm making changes to this file. Please git track it. I'm going to write this file by pressing Ctrl O, press enter, and Ctrl X to get out. Okay, now let's say git status. Again, we have a file modified. Now we are going to add this file, but we can do one more thing here. There's another suggestion from Git coming in. So it's saying git commit -a, which basically will add that file automatically, and it's not just gonna add this file, it's gonna add every single modified file. So if I type git commit -a and I'm -m, and message would be third commit, enter, and now it's saying one file changed, two insertion. So if I type git status, as you can see, that file was added to the Git repository, and after that it was committed as well. The last command for this video would be git log. So I'll type git log. Now git log is basically a command which gives you a history what's been done to your repository depending on your current branch. We'll talk about branches later, but for now just say when you create a repository, the master branch gets created automatically. So it's saying I have a first committed, it's telling me the date and time for that, author name Awais, and an email. A second commit, date and time, same author and email, which we set up in the global configuration, and we did the third commit. Welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about commits a bit more in details. To verify commit, we just created in the last video, we use git log command. I'm going to type git log, and here it gives me all the commits that I've done so far on this branch. Git log gives us 3 commits: first commit with the message, second commit with the message, and a third commit with its message, and it provides some more information. It's time to analyze the information provided in the third commit. The first line contains the commit SHA-1. It's an alphanumeric sequence of 40 characters representing a hexadecimal number. This code, or hash as it is usually called, uniquely identifies the commit within the repository. Thanks to it, from now on, we can refer to it by doing some actions. The author and a commit creation date is there as well. A commit message where the last commit is the third commit, that's a commit message. We can use a different formatter while using git log command. So now let's type git log space -- format flag is equal to, we'll type fuller. Now this time you see the information is different. We have a commit hash, we have author name and email, author date creation, commit name and email again, and then commit date as well. So we have seen that a Git repository can be imagined as a tree that's starting from a root and grows upward through one or more branches. These branches are generally distinguished by name. When you initialize the repository, Git creates one branch by default called master. As you can see here, it says head dash greater than master. So we have one branch in our repository. Let's try git log command, and I'm gonna define another formatter here. I'm gonna type one line. Now when I use the one line, it gives me the message and the hash for that commit with 7 characters. So it's a bit easier to read. There's another thing that you can do here, -- graph. So -- graph adds the asterisk to the left. Let's talk about branches in Git. I'm gonna type git branch. It's gonna show me what branch I am at right now. So I'm using this master branch, which was the default branch. It's automatically created when you initialize the repository. On this branch, we have some commits as well. Now I'm gonna go and create a new branch by typing git branch and then the name of the new branch. I'll type new branch, enter, and now I'm gonna git log. Okay, right now I'm at master branch and new branch. I'll do a git branch. It tells me I'm still at a master branch. To make that new branch active, we need to use this command, git checkout new branch. So git checkout and the name of the branch, enter, and now it says switch to branch new branch. Let's clear the terminal. I'll type git branch now, and now I'm at this new branch. Now I'm going to create a new file. I'll use touch command. I'll say new file.txt, and you'll see we have a new file.txt. I'm going to use echo command to write something. So I'm saying I'm writing to new file. Okay, let's do cat new file, and here we have the text I'm writing new file. Now if I do git status, here you can see we have this file which is part of our branch. It's modified. We have a new file which is not added to our stacked area. So I'll do git add new file. Let's check git status, and here we have 2 files. This file was newly added and this file is just there. Okay, now we're gonna commit this. So we're gonna type git commit -m and a message. I'm gonna say I am adding new file. Okay, let's clear the terminal and use git log. Now we have a first commit, second commit, third commit, and a fourth commit which has a message I'm adding a new file. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use git log -- graph, enter, and now here we can see we have a git log here with asterisks. So we have this master branch up till here, and from that we are using this new branch. Okay, let's clear the terminal, and I'm going to switch to the master branch now, and you will notice that we will not have this new file anymore there. So I'll do git checkout master. Now when I switch to that, I'll do git log. Now we can only have 3 commits, second commit, third commit, and the first commit. So git log will show you the commits for the current branch you're in. and all the file structure that you see here will basically be coming from that branch. I'm going to go and create a new branch by typing git branch, and I'll say second branch, and here I'm going to create another file. Let's check out first. So let's do git status. I'm at master branch, so I would like to check out to that branch, so I'll do git branch, and I forgot the name. How do I remember the name? I'll do that by git branches. Oop, doesn't really show me anything. So git branch all. So this flag dash all will show me all the branches available in my repository. So now I can see the name here. So I'll do git checkout second branch, and I've switched to that branch. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to say touch file on second, okay, .txt. We have this file here. I'm going to write something, writing to second branch file, and here I'm going to open that in a GUI, and we have this writing to second branch file. That's fine. Now let's do a git status here, guys. We have this file. I'm going to use git add, and this time I'm not going to define the file name. I'm going to use the dot symbol, which will add everything to our Git repository. Let's clear this out. Now we do git status, and now it's there. What we can do is commit, git commit -m, and I'm going to say file on second. Okay, now we have two branches. We have something here. We don't have this file on master. We don't have that new file on this branch as well. So I'm going to type git branch -all. So we switch to that new branch. So I'll do git checkout new branch, and you can see that we don't have that file on second. We have this file and file.txt file. That's nice. If I switch to git checkout master, I should not see that file. So you can see that Git helps you to track things, and you can switch to different state of your file structure or file content in the history, or you can track things, or you create a snapshot of those things. So now the cool command I'm going to show you here is git log -decorate -graph, enter, and here you see that, right? But I want to see all the branches, all the log for that. So I'll do git -all, and now you can see that we have starting from, let me go down a bit. So we're starting from first commit, second commit, and then the third commit. And you notice something different here. You see this is, I'm adding a new file. So this is like a new branch here, and that's a second branch which has like these commits, which is coming from this master branch. And then we have a new branch. You see this thing here? This is cool because you have a new branch there. Now I'm gonna switch to new branch and make some more modification and more commits. So to get out, I'll type Q. Let's clear it out. Do git checkout new branch. Okay, now we have the file. I'm going to make some changes here, like add a gibberish. Press Command S to save this file, and then let's do change here as well. Let's save this file as well. Let's do a git status, and it tells me that these two files are modified. So I'll do git add dot symbol, git commit. I'll do modified at new branch. Now we're gonna check out master branch, git checkout master, and now I'm gonna go and create some more files here. Actually create a folder. So I'll do new folder, and I'm going to create another file here by using touch master file, and let's open it up, and I'm going to type some gibberish here. Let's save it, and let's open this up as well. Let's change that. Let's save it. So the reason why I'm doing all this, I want to show you the git log decorate command, how you can track things. So let's do git status. Yep, file modified, create a new files. I'll do git add dot, and then clear the terminal. Now we can do git status. There you go. Git commit -m, and then we do committing on master with new folder. That's good. Now do a git log -decorate graph all, enter, and there you go. You can see, let me just zoom out a bit, and you'll notice here that we have something like, you know, asterisks with some graphical representation where things are. So here we're starting on a master commit. We have 3 commits, then we go up, and then we have this second branch commit. Then we went up, we have like 2 commits on new branch, this commit there, and then modify that new branch. So you can see that, you can see the visualization of your commits as well. And Git log is very, very powerful. I would highly recommend to go and have a look at the documentation for that to see all the flags. There's a million flags out there that I can cover in this course, but you got the idea how you can use flags to, you know, modify your logs and do other stuff as well. Last thing in this video we're going to take a look at is how we can reset or discard changes to the files. So I'm going to go to this file master, and I'm going to just remove everything from here, and that's been committed. So I'll just remove everything, and I'll say file is empty. I'm going to save this file. Now we go and take a look at git status, and we have this file as modified. Now let's just say that you don't want to commit this, but you want to, you know, reset the file as, you know, to the previous history. So I'm going to leave this file open here so we can see the changes. Okay, so to do that, we used git reset command. Okay, now it says unstack changes after reset. Let's, you know, close this, and let's open this up. Nope, nothing has changed. So we'll do git reset. We're going to use the flag called --hard. Let me put it on the right. --hard. Now it says head is now at this commit on master with a new folder. Let's just, you know, close this file, open it up again, and there you go. You have the changes back wherever, you know, whatever the changes that you had on that previous commit. Next command we're going to look at is a git diff. So we'll open one of the file here, and I'm going to make any change. So let me just get rid of this file, and I'm going to save this. Let's close this file. Now I'm going to use git status. It's telling me the file has been modified. But what has been modified? What if I want to take a look at what is being modified in my repository or that folder or to the file? I can use this command called git diff. Enter, and it tells me I have deleted this text from the files. It says fast dfas, and then this gibberish has been removed. Okay, that's fine. If I open up that file again, and I'll say adding for difference, let me save this file, and now I'm going to use git diff again, and this time it's telling me I've removed these, but I've added this line, so adding for difference. Now what's happening here basically is, let me just zoom in a bit. I'll do git diff again. Now here basically it's gonna check all the changes from that previous commit depending on your branch. So if you're on a master branch, you committed something that becomes a snapshot, and then any changes you do, you can view those changes using git diff command. It'll tell you what has been removed from the file and what has been added to the file. In this video, we're going to talk about merging branches. In Git, merging two or more branches is the act of making their personal history meet each other. When they meet, two things can happen. Files in their tip commit are different, or some conflict will arise. Files do not conflict, or commit of target branches are directly behind commit of the branch we're merging, so a fast forward will happen. In two cases, Git will guide us assembling new commit, so that's called merge commit. In the fast forward case, instead, no new commit is needed. Git will simply move the target branch label to the tip of the commit of the branch we are merging. So let's give it a try. Right now, I'm at Git branch. By checking Git branch, we can see we are at the master branch. I'm going to use Git Log graph all. So we have new branch, a second branch, and a master branch. I'm going to try merging new branch to the master branch. So I'm going to type Q here. Let's check the difference between master branch and a new branch by using git diff define master and then a new branch. Enter, and it's going to give you all the history, what is difference in the branches. Okay, so there you go. Now there's a lot of text differences. Well, we can ignore those text changes. We just want to try merging. So I'm going to use git merge and then the branch name. I'm going to try merging master to new branch. Enter, and it says auto merging file.txt file. It says a conflict merging file.txt file, automatic merge failed, fix conflict, and then commit the result. Okay, now you can see if I use git status, there are files that are coming from that new branch, but it hasn't been committed yet. Also, we have a conflict. Now Git always try to auto merge file. It uses complex algorithm to reduce your manual work on files. But if you're in doubt and pretend that you can fix the issue by hand, then we can use a git diff command to see what's the difference. So I'll do git diff, and here we have a conflict here. Now I'm gonna be using Nano, which is a text editor, to see what's the change. So I'll type nano file.txt file, and here we have, hey, made a change, another notification text, and it says head. And now this is the problem here. We have this conflict. Okay, let's just get rid of this now, and then we can get rid of this as well. I'm gonna write it out by Control O, press enter. Let's get out by pressing Control X. Now we do git status, and I'm going to use git add file. Now let's do a git status again. Now we can do a git commit. We have resolved the conflict. It says all conflicts fixed, but you are still merging. So merge hasn't been done yet because we haven't committed the file yet. So that's why we're doing this. Merging done. Okay, now we do a git status. Now it says on branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean. Let's do a git log, and here we have a merge done. Okay, so this is how you can resolve conflict by using git diff command and see what's difference and what was in the different branch, so you don't fall into. Now there's a lot of GUI tools that will help you to resolve conflicts. We'll take a look at those in the GUI section of a Git. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about git stash command. Now here I'm in a file.txt file. I'm going to get rid of this, and let's save this file. And now I'm going to use git status command to see what's changed. Now it's telling me something's changed here. Let's use git diff command, and it's telling me I have removed all of this from file.txt file. Now this is alright, but I didn't want to change these or remove these checks in this branch. So if I check out git branch, I'm on the master branch. Now I want to move to a new branch. So if I go and git check out new branch, it's gonna cause an error. It says your local changes to the following files would be overwritten by checkout file.txt file. So what are the changes I've made to this file will be overwritten if I switch to the new branch or switch to any other branch. Now, how do I save that changes? So I might want to apply those changes to this new branch or to second branch, or maybe I want to just store those changes somewhere where I will come back to master branch and I will just grab those changes again. So to do that, we can use the git stash command. So git status we have modified. If I use git stash command, now it says saved working directory in index state VIP master blah. Okay, merging done. Now if I check out git status and I see on the branch master nothing to commit, working tree clean. Now if I open file.txt file, you see all this data have come back. Now I can go to git check out new branch and I'll see the git status. That's fine. Now everything is fine for now, but if I want to go back to git check out master branch and I would like to see the status and I would like to see the changes what I did before, I want to apply those changes now. Now because we use git stash command, so we can do git stash apply, and now if I open up file.txt file, you see that change have been applied from stash to this commit now. Now if I use git status, you see all the things are back. I need to commit those changes. They're not in stash anymore. So you can switch between branches and you can keep some stuff or modification into the stash. You can apply them later by using git stash apply command. We have covered branches, commits, logging, Git configuration, and many more fundamental topics of Git using command line. And this is where our fundamental of Git ends. From the next video, we're going to talk about working with Git remotes. Mainly, we're going to be covering GitHub. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about working with remotes. Git is a tool for versioning files. As you know, it's been built with collaboration in mind. Basically, a Git remote is another place that has the same repository you have on your computer. So you can access to your remote repository using protocols like SSH or HTTPS. We will use a GitHub to host our repository remotely. Also, in this chapter, we're going to talk about GitHub in details. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to start developing with GitHub. We're going to start looking at how we can sign up and create a repository, clone that repository into our local computer. So let's get started. You go to github.com and you click on sign up page. I'm going to go all the way up. Here you choose your username. So I'll just do GitHub testing 123. That should be available, not available. So we'll do, let's just say 88. Yep, that's available. I'm going to find an email address which I can temporarily use because this is the testing account. I've set the password there. Now we have to verify this puzzle. So I'm just going to click on this. It's saying when the image is correct, way up, touchdown. Done. And we got 9.3 stars. That's all good. I'm going to click on create account. And that's it. It's going to ask me, hey, do you want to pay GitHub for using pro features? Well, we don't need that for this because we can create public and private unlimited repositories here. You can have 3 collaborators for private repositories, issues and bug tracking, project management. Everything is included in there except you don't have unlimited collaborators. Okay, so let's click on continue here. Next, trail your experience. So, well, I would just say new to programming and just testing, or I could say what are you interested in. I would just say GitHub. Let's click on submit, and there you go. It's saying please verify your email address. Now I created a temporary account by using this website here. So here we have this GitHub account. I'm just going to open that email and we should see some sort of link or message there. Let me put it on the side. And yep, I'm going to click on verify email and it's going to open up the account for me. That's all good. This is my personal account, so I'm just going to log out for now. And our account should be verified now. Okay, still saying verify. So I'm just gonna copy this link and I'm gonna paste that here. And that should verify the email. Okay, your email was verified, that's cool. Now we are logged into a GitHub account. Let's take a look at what GitHub offers. On the top right, you have this profile icon where basically you can go to your profile, your repositories, your project, stars, gist. You have some settings. So I'm just going to go to my profile and here you will see I have no contribution in this year. This is a fresh account. So what we want to do is create our first repository. Now there's many ways you can create a repository here. You'll find an option many places. One easy way is to go and click on this plus button and click on new repository. Once you click on new repository, you have to name your repository. So I'll just say testing GitHub repository. I'll write a description saying testing GitHub for remote Git repositories. Now here you have two options. You can create a private or you can create a public. I'm going to leave that public. So I'm actually not going to use this account after this video. So I'm just going to leave that public. I'll click on initialize this repository with readme file. I'll just say, yep, that's fine. And I'm going to add a license to MIT license. Let's create repository. Once I create a repository, you'll get to this page where you have a README file, a license file here. So I'm going to click on README file. It's going to show me this testing GitHub and then testing GitHub for remote repository. We'll go back to a repository. Now we have created our repository. We have one initial commit by default. So when you create a repository in locally, you have one commit on master branch. If we click on branch, it's going to show me there's only one branch called master because this gets created automatically. We'll go back. Releases, no release yet. Contributors, I'm the only one creating or working on this repository as of now. I made this as a public MIT license. People can fork this library and then work on that as well. Let's go back to the code, and here we're going to look at how we can clone this repository into our local computer and we can send our updated data or updated files to the remote. Now if I click on this clone or download button, it tells me I want to download zip file. I can do that as well. I can open that in a desktop by using any GitHub client, but I'm going to use this HTTP. So I'm just going to copy this. Let's click on this button. It's going to tell me, hey, I've copied this to the clipboard. Now we go to desktop, and here I'm going to just paste that link here. Now this is the link. It's not going to actually do anything. We need to write a command called git clone. So let me just clear this out first. We're going to type git clone and then paste that URL. I'm going to press enter, and as you can see, it cloned that same repository. There are a few commands that we'll talk about now. If I type git remote, it tells me not a Git repository because we need to get inside to testing GitHub repository. So let's do cd testing GitHub. Here I'm going to type git status. It says I'm on a master branch, working trees clean. So I'll type git remote, press enter, and it says origin. What is origin? Well, Git uses origin as default name for a remote. Like a master for branches, origin is just a convention. You can call remotes whatever you want. We'll take a look at how we can change this name later, or we can have like a multiple regions for a multiple remotes for one local repository as well. So now I'm going to type here git status. See, nothing is changed. So I'm going to open this folder here, and here I can see I have two files, readme and license. I'm going to open readme file, and it should be opening on a text editor, or we can actually use nano. Well, that's fine. I can just open the readme file here. So here I'm going to modify this, and I'm going to send these changes to the remote as well. So now I'm going to say I have modified this file for updating remote. I'm going to save this file. Let's close this. Let's check the git status. We have one modified file. I'm going to use git add space dot. Let's clear the terminal. Let's check the status again. Now we can commit this. Anytime you push to the remote, you need to make sure that you commit your changes. So I'll say git commit -m sending to the remote first time. That's the message. Let's do git status. Now I have made a change and I've committed that change on a local repository. I want to send that to GitHub repository. So I'll type git push origin. Enter. If you're on a Mac, it might give you a pop-up asking you, type the Mac password to access the credential for the Git. But if you never logged into GitHub, you will see this type username for https://github.com. And we're going to go back to GitHub account, and the username that I have here would be GitHub testing 888. Let me go to the profile here, and I would like to copy this username. Let's go back and paste that here, enter, and it's going to ask me for the password now. I'll type a password, enter, and there you go. It's saying counting object 100% done, delta compression using up to 12 threads done, and it says writing object 100%. Now this is all good. Now let's go and verify this. I'm going to click on repositories. Let's go to testing GitHub repository, and now I have two commits here. So click on commits. You can see I had initial commit here, and also I have this commit sent to remote first time. As you can see, we are able to send our local changes or modification to our remote repositories. So basically, GitHub is great if you want to have your code online somewhere where you can clone this code, or might want to share this code with somewhere else. And if you have an open source project, then you can bring in all the collaborators or people working on your code from all over the world. Now there's a lot of advanced options here with GitHub, which is basically out of this fundamental course, but I would really recommend to check out these options as well and explore GitHub. Last thing what we're gonna look at is git pull command. Let's go to GitHub, and I'm going to create a file on the GitHub website. Click on create new file, and I will name my file taking pull. Okay, and here I'm going to say, hey, I created this file to just show you how to take pull. Now what is the use case for this file? Basically, let's just say that you and your brother or your friend working on a project, and you are living in other cities of your country or different countries even. He basically makes a commit to the branch, and you want to see what's changed in that branch. Let's just save this file for now. And here it says commit a new file. Okay, so this is the case where your friend have actually made some changes to code. He had pushed the code into the server. Now you and him are using the same branch, but you want to take a pull. Pull means taking down its changes from a remote server to a local repository. So I'm just going to say creating pull. I'm going to give an additional description here. So just say just created this file for taking pull to local repository. I'm gonna just say commit directly to the branch, or I could create a new branch here as well. I'll just create a new commit directly to this master branch. Let's create commit new file, and the file is here. We have 3 commits, but if I go back here, let's clear the terminal, say git status. It says, yep, git status there, but no change, nothing has changed. The file, I don't see that here, okay? I'm expected to see that same file here. So I'll do git pull, enter, and it's going to download that taking full file for me as well. Now, as you can see, just imagine that this code was written from your friend or anybody else working on the same code, and you could take its changes. Now, the git pull only works for your current branch. If you want to do a different branch, then you can do git pull and then say a name for a branch. Or there is another command. If you have like tens and thousands of branches, then you can do git fetch, which basically will download all the changes from all the remote repositories to locally. Now, this is another command. Now, I would highly recommend go and explore GitHub. There's a lot of options available here, and it's an amazing place to, understand how the world use Git to collaborate on the code, and how the open source software are, bringing a lot of collaborators. Okay. Now, this is a great website to bring your own portfolio as well. If somebody, see your profile on a GitHub and see a lot of contributions to it, then it might be, interested into giving you a job. Now, this is where our fundamentals of Git using GitHub ends. I would highly recommend to go and explore this website, and I wish you best of luck. Keep exploring this website, keep exploring Git. Last thing we want to show you here is Git SCM website. Now, a lot of times that you might be stuck in your version control system using Git, you might want to find an answer to your question. Now, Git is too big to cover in like 1 hour or 2 hour video or even 3 hour course. So I would like to show you the Git documentation as well. So if you go to git-scm.com, this is where you should come and click on documentation. Here we have a reference, and in the reference you will see all the commands available in Git and its reference. For example, we used git pull command. So if I click on git pull command, and it's going to tell me git pull fetches from integrate with another repository or local branch. And here we have a git pull and options repository, or you can define these flags as well. Okay, so this place is amazing if you want to explore more about Git, because Git is too big to cover in one video. So we have covered all the basics. Now it's up to you to go and explore more about Git. Okay, I wish you best of luck for your Git